Grothman, you recognize 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. I guess there are two things I'd like to go over again with those of you who are in business, and maybe Mr. Cohen could comment as well. The first thing, Ms. Fortin mentioned legal fees, and there's no question that this decision is going to result in uncertainty, which will lead to more legal fees. I think a lot of times people in the law schools, and we have a couple law professors testifying today, they don't appreciate how difficult it is and how quickly the legal fees go up, and they just kind of figure that's part of the system and blah, blah, blah. But there's no question in my mind this uncertainty is going to result in, you know, more potential lawsuits and somebody on the hook. I'd like to ask one of the three small businessmen here today, and then Mr. Cohen, because I was a lawyer myself, so I'm not being critical of you, but you know, their experience with legal fees, and is it, you know, just no big deal, and everything's going to be fair the more we have to go to court. Do you want to give us any stories about the enjoyment of having to go over to the local law firm and deal with these decisions?
I would like to. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
We have one right now. And what small business owners don't know is that they need to have EPLI insurance. And before it was if you had 35 employees or more, you need it. If you have one employee, you need to have EPLI insurance because normal liability policies don't cover that. So we are paying out of pocket those big attorney fees. And trust me, and Jennifer knows this, every time a bill comes in, she waits till I'm in a good mood to give it to me. It's brutal, and it hurts.
You want to give me just a number, the one time you had to, you know, just a little shocking story?
Right now we're at $15,000 for 3 months, and it's a nuisance. The plaintiff's attorneys are counting on breaking us down.
Okay, Mr. Cohen, I always hated billing out when I was a lawyer, so you can tell me.
Thank you, Congressman, I think. What I have already encountered with clients is rebid situations where they employ another entity to perform a discrete task. The matter gets rebid from time to time. Some of their contractors are unionized, some of them are not, some of them are in the process of unionizing. So they have come to us, as many other companies have, and said, how do we cope with this new standard that the board is having? And I can tell you the situation is quite varied. Of course, every decision is case by case at the NLRB. They have to decide every case. But the question is whether there are discrete rules which are going to let us analyze those cases. Mm-hmm. There has been so much changing of position that what I find myself doing is not answering what the law is today, but trying to divine what the law is going to be a year or two from now, because that's what's of value to the client. And we've had to counsel on the basis of expecting a bad Browning-Ferris decision, and I can assure you, we got it, and companies are paying for it.
So you're, in other words, going to have to bill out more because of that decision, right?
Absolutely. We have to provide the service.
This is something we want the law professors to pay attention to, what happens in the real world. Now, one other question for you guys, and I apologize for being part of the government, even though I'm not in favor of that decision. That, you know, I know it's so frustrating. People say, how in the world is people running Washington when these stupid decisions come out? But just a general comment from you guys, or maybe Mr. Cohen, because you deal with businesses of all sorts of sizes. And one of the sad things that happened in my life is again and again the small businesses close up and the big multinationals come in. And I think it's because we have more and more regulation that only a big, massive company with maybe in-house counsel or everything can deal with it. But could you just one more time give me your impression on how this decision, unless we pass this bill, how it affects the mix in this country between small businesses and instead small businesses drying up and only larger businesses running the show?
I think it has a direct impact on the small business. As I said before, businesses are going to their core competencies. So there are, and I think this is the hope for small business, is to be particularly good at a particular function. At the same time as the NLRB has changed a multitude of rules in the last several years, they have made it so that there almost needs to be a labor and employment lawyer on speed dial for them.
Right, so if you got a little business with 5 or 10 or 30 employees, much more difficult to handle this than if you're some
Gentleman's time has
multinational.
expired.
Thanks so much for giving me the time.